Oh. All right, get my do-rag on. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy AJ Trip, and welcome to the rapid reaction of WrestleMania Night 1. Different than any other WrestleMania ever. In so many fashions, we've got the whole coronavirus going on and everything, stay-at-home places and shelter-in places, and so many things is going on, and there's been obviously some backlash over whether or not WWE should even be putting on WrestleMania. But I think tonight was a reason to do it. I think they showed why you do it. You had some stuff tonight that was really interesting and really good, and they're saving some of the bigger stuff for tomorrow night. So it's just it's gonna be incredible. I think tomorrow night's gonna be a fantastic night. We've got we still have got Edge and Orton in the Last Man Standing match. We've got McIntyre and and Lesnar happening tomorrow night. We've got what we get the Firefly Funhouse match, and if it's anything like the Boneyard match we just saw, it's gonna be pretty interesting. Um, Well, to each their own. I wouldn't say it's a sad WrestleMania. It's a sad WrestleMania because of what's going on. It can't be the big thing that everybody would want WrestleMania to be because of the coronavirus and everything. But I would not say that it's sad because of that. But as a WrestleMania program, I loved it. I wanted them to continue on for not only for the entertainment value, but I also wanted for it to continue on because of the storylines. I think the storylines needed to have an end, and so I think we needed to see some of the stuff that we just couldn't, because who knows how long this is gonna go. We are all hopeful that by the time you know July and August comes around, that we'll be able to do things. We'll have basketball back. We'll have baseball back, tennis and golf and everything else that has been postponed. We'll have all of that back, um, whether it's fans or not. But in all honesty, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen and if there's going to be back enough. So we just can't sit around and wait until this thing, because this could really last until into next year at the very worst. It really could, especially when you don't have people are not doing some of the biggest things. They rather go to spring break than shelter in place and things like that. So I wanted them to have it to do this. I wanted them to continue it, and that's exactly what they did tonight. And I thought it was a very good night. The first night was a very good night, and we're gonna get to the matches and my thoughts on them all in just a second. So give me 1 second. Okay, so let's start. They had a 1 hour kickoff show, and it was the match on there was Drew Gulak would take on Cesaro. And this was a very short match, but it was action packed and it was fun. We had some good stuff, and Drew Gulak was working on the arm, kind of setting up for the actually, and not setting up, but he actually did do the label lock, Daniel Bryan's move. And so what it came down was that we had a very interesting, weird thing where Cesaro did an airplane spin, and actually he did it with no hands. Obviously because he'd been working on the arm. So, and he did an airplane spin, and that's how he won. So that's a very interesting finish. But I thought it was really good. Again, it was short, but all full action. I gave it 3 stars. Really, really good. From those 2 guys. And then we kick off the actual main show with the women's tag team title match between Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, and the Kabuki Warriors. And this was, tag team formulaic at its finest. We had some good work here. I haven't seen Kairi Sane in a long time, but Kairi Sane's back, and she had really interesting. She had been married. I think she got married before the whole coronavirus thing even started to really break down. We know before it started to get really, really bad. So I think she had get married, but I think she was off TV for that. But this is the first time I've seen her in a couple weeks. About 3 or 4 weeks actually, probably since the match that she had with Shayna on Raw. And but yeah, I mean it was some good stuff here. Great work by the Kabuki Warriors. They were doing their thing. Um, but Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, time was their night, and they proved it. Had a Twisted Bliss. They are the 2-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. So now we'll go ahead and we'll look at what they do with them when everything does happen and everything does get back to normal. So, but they are the women's tag team champions, and good for them. I give it 3 stars again. I thought it was very, very well done. Um, you know, for formulaic as always, and actually that's more than formulaic because usually you get a formulaic tag match you get like 1 set of heat and then you get a hot tag. There was 2 sets of heat in this one, but I thought it still was really, really good. Um, Next was Elias versus King Corbin, and they were doing some things about whether or not Elias was gonna be able to come back and work after what happened on Friday SmackDown a couple weeks ago with the whole getting thrown off the balcony and everything, and could Elias make it to there, and things like that. And there was a whole lot of people saying where he was gonna be replaced and in a match by somebody. Some people were saying it was maybe Mojo Rawley or Gronk or even some other people, and but neither that happened. Elias came out and they had a match. It was okay. I gave it 2 2 3/4 stars. I thought it was okay, good enough. Elias and King Corbin aren't necessarily either one are the best wrestlers in the company. I think both of them are the type of guys that if they can hang with guys who are better than them. They can the guys who are better than them, but when they're probably with guys who are worse than them or guys that are on the same level. I think these two are probably on the same level talent wise. It's gonna get something that's probably average. You're probably not gonna get anything really, really good. You're just gonna get something that's average. And that's what this was. This was just average. The finish was Elias rolling up Corbin to get the victory after Corbin tried to roll him up and put the feet on the rope. So the Corbin was very, very loud and talkative during the match. As a lot of people were tonight. A lot of people were very loud and talkative. I guess maintain for the make noise for the lack of crowd. So a lot of people were talkative and noise, but King Corbin was very talkative, but very loud. This match, but again, like I said, it was just average match. And good on Elias, but I have a feeling that when things get back to normal, um, this isn't over between Elias and King Corbin. We're going to see more of them in the future. Um, Next was the Raw Women's Title match between Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. And I thought, this started off. They were swinging. They would. I bet you before they went out there, they went and said, "Hey, we just gonna lay this stuff in. We'll I apologize beforehand, but I'm just gonna lay stuff in. Same here. That's how it was with Ronda and Charlotte when when the stuff happened with Becky in the face, breaking her face. Um, that's kind of when they knew that I think that's when WWE figured out, okay, so now since Becky is out of this match, we're gonna have to put her in the main event at WrestleMania. Uh, and I think that's what happened. And the rumor was that Becky and Charlotte and Ronda, they got together and they said, just lay your stuff in real good. Lay it in as good as you can, whatever. And it's apologies, but let's make this as good look real good as possible. So and you remember in that Survivor Series match, um, I think Charlotte gets a kendo stick and starts wailing on Ronda. I think she even maybe hits her in the head at one point. So it was just it was some really really good stuff, and that's what this looked like. This match looked like that Shayna and Becky had decided we're just gonna lay stuff in because they were hard hitting and they were just really really fantastic. And I really thought that they had some some really really good stuff. No problem, Joe. And yeah, you had a month. Okay. So what was it? Were you looking at a pirated stream or something, or like that, or was you watching like through one of the wrestling channels and doing their live stream? Because I know like Wrestle Talk and Cultureholic and I think World Culture Wrestling may be doing it. I definitely know Cultureholic and Wrestle Talk were doing their stream. I was listening to the Wrestle Talk stream while I was watching WrestleMania. So, um, but yeah, they went out there and it was a really, really good match. It was a really, really good match. Surprisingly, oh, he was watching the highlights. Okay, he was watching the highlights. Yeah, so surprisingly, um, they kept the title on Becky Lynch, which is surprising to me for a myriad of reasons. One, they've made Shayna Baszler look pretty much like a badass. She went through those five women in the Elimination Chamber match. She went through it like a hot knife through butter. I mean, just smoked them all. Made her look like a beast. And then have her go out and have her bite Becky's neck and have her, you know, do all that stuff. She, it had her talk all of that stuff to not give her the win. That's a very surprising. That's very surprising that they're keeping the title on Becky, and I'm not sure why they're keeping the title on Becky. I really don't. She had it for a year now, and to be very honest with you, I think a lot of people would tell you this. She wasn't able to keep up. She wasn't able to keep the momentum she had when she first got hot. Going back to the SummerSlam. She got really hot, and then the whole thing, I think I just mentioned with the virus series and her face breaking, and she got really really hot. That they had to put her in the title match, but after she won the main event at WrestleMania, she really hasn't been anything special. She really hasn't. I mean, she says the same line, almost smack the head off you dopes and all this other stuff. And the man comes around and it's it's all pretty much, to be very honest, all pretty much trash. So it's shocking that they decided to keep the title on Becky Lynch. There was a rumor a couple of weeks ago, the fact that there was even some thought that maybe Vince was changing his mind because he didn't really like Shayna Baszler. He didn't like Shayna. He didn't like Shayna Baszler's look or anything like, or he didn't like the match that she had or something like that, or indies. They were just he wasn't into Shayna stuff. And so if he didn't get it, he wasn't into it. So if he doesn't get Shayna Baszler, he's not going to be into Shayna Baszler. So maybe that's why he decided to keep the title on Becky Lynch. I'm not sure. And the thing is that we probably not really ever going to really find out, because there's a big possibility that WWE is going to go on hiatus after Monday. So that's going to be, we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, so again, surprising ending, but it was a really, really good match. I give it 3 3/4 stars. Becky Lynch retains the championship. Oh, and by the way she won is the usual thing when you have a sleeper on or the chokehold, and then they roll backwards, and they, the person putting on the move doesn't release. It's done many times. It's done with Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin and a myriad other times, and so she doesn't release and doesn't kick out. So Becky Lynch won that match. Next was the IC title between Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, and this was a weird one too. This one seemed to feel kind of short. And again, it probably wasn't, but it just felt like it, because there wasn't a lot of stuff, because for like the first couple minutes, you know, Daniel Bryan was chasing Sami Zayn around the ring, and he wasn't really giving him that there wasn't really any action. So then he does get Sami Zayn and win, and basically Daniel Bryan has all the offense. He does all of the offense from the majority of the match. And so then they come to a point to where Cesaro and Shinsuke, they take out Drew Gulak. Bryan dives out onto them. He goes to the top rope, but then Sami Zayn hits a haluva kick, on Bryan in midair when he comes down, and he gets the victory. So Sami Zayn retains the Intercontinental Championship. But again, like I said, it just it was kind of again, it was kind of short, and there was a lot of stalling. So I just gave it 2 2/4 stars. We know these two of those guys could probably do better. So it was yeah, it was what it was. That's the best I can say. Um, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess you could say unexpected. It was for me. I do my predictions video all the time, and my predictions for I didn't predict the Universal title match, because like I said, but by the time I put out my predictions video, they hadn't fully announced. I put it out yesterday afternoon, and then last night on SmackDown, they did announce that Roman was being replaced by Braun Strowman. Even though that was the rumor, I wasn't gonna let the rumor. But see, I was wrong with one of them, because I talked about the SmackDown Tag Team title match, which is I can review right now, because that was the next match. And there were rumors that it was going to be John Morrison versus one of the Usos, and since the Miz was out, sick, and that rumor was wrong, because it was Morrison. It did take one person, but it took one person from each one. So it was Morrison, it was Jimmy Uso, and it was Kofi Kingston. It was a triple threat ladder match for the tag team championships. So so that's why I didn't want to. I didn't want to do the Universal. I didn't want to predict the Universal title match. Because I didn't know if the rumor was going to be right or not. So anyway, but SmackDown Tag Title match, ladder match was fantastic. It was the match of this first night, and it was incredible. Obviously, these three are fantastic guys in the ring, and they really did some good spots. I think this match would probably be one of the matches that was probably edited down very much because of the stuff they did. There was probably a bunch of takes, and maybe it was. If it comes out that that match was done in one take, I will bow down to all three of them. I may even go back and give it an extra star, and like another part of a star, make it up to 4.5 stars. Because it does look like that there were some things that they did that they took advantage of the fact that it was being recorded and not live. It's something like the tightrope Spanish fly and the tightrope um, ladder throw, and Jimmy Uso falling off falling 20 feet off a ladder to the outside and everything. So, and the finish, could have went down the wrong way. With how the finish was, all Kofi Kingston, Jey Uso, and John Morrison are all climbing up a ladder, and they are, grabbing for it, and all three take down the thing holding them up, and then they're fighting over it, and finally they knock off John Morrison, but John Morrison, while falling, he takes the titles down with him, and he wins the match for the Miz and Morrison, keeping them as the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Again, this was some great stuff. This was the usual spot fest, but it was fantastic. 4.25 star for these three guys, and I'm sure it had to be, it had to be also feel like, something else either. Because let's face it, if this was, if this was, because let's think about this, right? This would have been the 20th anniversary of TLC 2. This was the 21st anniversary, right? If I think I got my years correct. This has been the 21st anniversary of the ladders and tables match from WrestleMania 2000. So we had anniversary here. So that they were that if everything was in a normal setting, this probably would have been an ode to that. They probably would have put that, that it probably would have been a tables, ladders, and chairs match at WrestleMania if it was actually in Raymond James Stadium. I would have think that's probably would have been, and this would have been their ode, to that, 20 years in the making, right? But obviously things happened. They probably decided, well, let's just do the ladder match. Obviously Mrs. gets sick. Okay, so then let's just do one person from each team. But great match. It's a match of the night. Any outcomes I was disappointed about? Yeah, going back to Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch. I just think I don't I'm so over the whole Becky Lynch thing. I was actually over the Becky Lynch thing, last year, and when when she won the Royal Rumble, I was not I was over her then, because the same fans, the same fans that pissed and bitched and moaned a couple years earlier when Roman Reigns entered at number 30, in the Royal Rumble. They got upset at that. Were the same fans that were happy that Becky Lynch got to have a second chance after losing her title match, and after Roman losing his title match gets a second chance. They hate it, but then Becky does, and it just and that made me sour on her completely. And I just, I haven't been a true fan of her, but as I looked about it, I think you're right. I think she is overrated. I think she is overrated. I think that she does, that she, don't get me wrong, she's a good worker. I don't think she's as good as people think. I think that she got a little bit of John Cena and John Cena in him. John Cena is the type of wrestler that he can hang with the best of them. He, like you said, he had a 5-star match with AJ Styles. He's had great matches with so many other wrestlers, but you get him in the ring with a lower person, and he couldn't bring them up to her level, and that's what she is. That's what Becky Lynch is. As you saw with Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans is still very green in the wrestling business. She is still very green. She's on the main roster basically because you know she's beautiful and she's blonde, and that's what Vince likes. Beautiful blonde women. Um, and so he's and she's green, but in the matches that they had, she couldn't carry her to a better match. She couldn't do that, and so I really, I'm and like I mentioned earlier about her catchphrases are whack, and the things she says and the things she does are total awful. It would be a lot better if she was supposed to be a heel doing that stuff. I think it'd be a lot better. But the fact that she's a baby face and doing it, it's god awful. It really is. So yeah, that would be the one I would be disappointed for. I thought Baszler needed to win, and especially like I just mentioned, if they're going to go on hiatus, and they could be on hiatus for again, like I've said, for months. The shelter in place in Florida and Orlando may not let up until June. So they're just going to. I guess they could try to move to another state. I don't think Texas has a shelter in place. So can they find a place in Texas to do shows from? I don't know, but I don't. I think it's just not realistic for me. Not realistic, but it's just not a good look. And like I said, I don't know what they're gonna go next. So if she could hold the title for a very very long time. She can depending on I think well, Bailey has it, I think now. I think Bailey now has the record of the longest women's championship reign. I think obviously Nikki Bella had it, and then when it was the Divas Championship, Charlotte beat her for that. And if Bailey loses tomorrow, then I think obviously she'll still have the record, but um, actually, now that I think about it, and that's not the case. Becky Lynch does have the record actually, because she still held the title for a year. She's held the title for a year. Bailey is the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky Lynch is the longest reigning Women's Champion. As a modern era, obviously, back in the old days, what's her face, um, Fabulous Moolah. I think she held it like for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. So, but of the modern era, she's the longest reigning champion. So, but yeah, I thought Baszler should have won it. Another match that was really really good is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. And this was exactly what it needed to me, and they got you. They got you. They're really good because at some point in the match, they go to the outside, and Seth Rollins hits Kevin Owens with the ring bell, and that's a disqualification. And I had already written down on my thing. I had written down three and a quarter star, and I was actually disappointed. I was actually very disappointed because not only did Kevin Owens not win, well, he did win, but he didn't win the way he should have won. He didn't get his WrestleMania moment. As that was a story that they've been telling the past couple of weeks. That promo from Seth Rollins saying that he's had so many WrestleMania moments and you having your complete failure. And then last week's promo or this past Monday's promo when Kevin Owens was talking about it and he had that impassioned promo. So it only felt like it only seemed right that Kevin Owens gets his victory and he gets his WrestleMania moment. So then when that happened and he gets hit with the bell from Seth Rollins, you just go, well, that was disappointing. I didn't expect that. But then Kevin Owens gets on the mic and he says, "Come on, you're not gonna beat me like that. Let's restart the match and let's do it. No disqualification." And Jeff Rollins agrees to it. Referee says, "Okay, we can do it." They start the match back up, and Seth Rollins starts beating on Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens turns the tide with a he gets the ring bell and hits him not once but twice in the head. Seth Rollins, then he climbs the big WrestleMania sign that was sitting there. And he jumps off of that onto Seth Rollins, who's laying on the announce table, and he throws him Seth Rollins in the ring, gives him the stunner, and it's a 1, 2, 3, and there you go. That's the victory we were looking for. That's the good feeling we were getting. We wanted that big WrestleMania sign. Great stuff, great story, just fantastic. And then with the switch with the disqualification finish, and then they restart the match. That was good too. It really 4 stars. It was really good. It was the match that the latter match was the match of the night. This was right behind it. Some really, really good stuff from those 2 guys. Next, we got the Universal title match. This was supposed to be Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. But as we know, Roman Reigns has had 2 bouts with leukemia, the most as recent as last year, 2019. So at some point, and this all started with the Miz. When the Miz came to the Performance Center sick, the Usos was like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here sick?" They kind of couldn't believe it. But so then I guess they had a talk with Roman, and I guess Roman, after hearing that, decided, you know what? Because I got a daughter at home, I got other. I think he's got another kid too, his wife, and also he's got older members of his family that he visits, and I don't know if they live with him, but he's around elder members of his family. Combine that with the fact that because he's had 2 bouts of leukemia, he's really more susceptible to catching the coronavirus. He pulled himself out of the match. And then last night they announced that Braun Strowman was going to be put in it. And yes, Joe, it was once again, it was a finisher match. And that's really, to be honest with you, that's all really Goldberg can do at this point. It's really all that he can do, and it's really all that he really should do. To be very honest with you, it's he shouldn't try to do the match that they going back to last year, the match with him and the Undertaker, that they had at Crown Jewel. I guess I think it was no, I think it was Super Showdown or whatever it was, whatever the match they had, where not only does Goldberg like knock himself kind of loopy backstage, hitting his head on a doing the whole thing with the locker, hitting his head on the locker, and he's kind of loopy but at that point it was so effing hot there in the Middle East. It was so effing hot, and you've got 50-year-old men trying to wrestle a 10-minute match, and then so it was bound to go as bad as it did and be as bad as it was. And so when it comes to Goldberg matches do need to be finisher matches, and they need to be exactly what that, especially when it's someone like Braun Strowman, who he can't pick up from the jackhammer. He could barely get the Fiend up, so he wasn't going to get. And we know what happened again with Undertaker, so he wasn't going to get up Braun Strowman. So he they just they so someone picked Goldberg and picked Braun Strowman and gave them finishers to start the match, and and from WWE, and he became the new Universal Champion. It's 1 star. It was what it was. That's what it was. This was probably what it was going to be with Roman and Goldberg. What it probably was going to be was it probably going to It probably was going to be like spears with spears and spears, and then they would have had Roman, maybe move out the way. Brock, and Brock, Goldberg misses a spear, and then it's 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 spear on for Roman and another spear for Roman. And I actually thought maybe what they probably would have done is they probably would have had Roman hit Bill Goldberg with the jackhammer, kind of do insult to injury, and maybe they also would give Roman a new finisher because let's be serious, let's be real. The spear as a finisher, it's it's not in 2020. Not in 2020. It should not be a finish. It should be a setup move. It should be the Goldberg spear is set up to the jackhammer. The spear should be the setup to something else. It should not be a finisher, and that goes for Edge too. I love Edge. Edge needs to. He's gonna use the spear probably tomorrow night. Although tomorrow night is a last man standing match, so it's a lot different. But in his other next match, he's probably gonna use the spear as a finisher, but he should probably come up with something else as well. He's got that cool submission move called the Educator that he should probably use, now. But yeah, so that's what I would have thought the match with Roman and Goldberg would have been. But it was what it was. I was a little shocked that they put the title on Braun Strowman because listen, he hasn't been on television since he lost the title to Sami Zayn. He hasn't been on television, and I guess that was by design. I guess that because Braun because Roman what was that I'm guessing what it was that Braun was probably one of 3 or 4 people that they held back so that in case somebody did pull out or needed to be added, that in one of these big time matches that's what would happen. And guess what? They needed Braun to go into the match for Roman. And I guess that's why they held him back instead of having him go on with the try to get his revenge on Sami Zayn for losing the Intercontinental title. So now we'll see. And again we'll see. We'll have to see again what goes down because I think Braun versus it's been it's actually been since 2018 when 2018 when Roman announced that his leukemia had came back. They were Roman and Braun were in a rivalry for the Universal title. So with not being like 18 or so months since that would be, I wouldn't be mad about a Braun Reigns rivalry. But I also think, to be very honest with you, and I'm probably the biggest Roman Reigns guy that there is. Uh, it might make more sense just to keep Roman Reigns out of the title picture. Again, you know, and I'm not even talking about until like WrestleMania 37. He doesn't need a coronation at WrestleMania. He doesn't. I know that's what Vince wants. Vince wants the coronation at WrestleMania where he wins the championship and the fans cheer him. That's what he's looking for. He didn't get that at WrestleMania 32 when he beat Triple H. It was mostly a booing reaction. He definitely didn't get that at WrestleMania 33 when he beat The Undertaker and quote unquote retired him. So he didn't get that. And then WrestleMania 34, all hell went to there. He didn't even. He just decided, F it. We're just gonna keep the title back. We're gonna keep the title on Braun. We're not even gonna do this now. So Roman Reigns doesn't need that coronation uh, anymore at WrestleMania. He can win the title on a Friday Night SmackDown. He can win the title at a Clash of Champions if he wants to. But I actually maybe think that maybe he shouldn't actually be in the title picture, for the near future. Let Braun actually have a pretty decent run with it. and maybe, and I would say maybe they even let him hold it until the Royal Rumble, and then maybe you can do something different here. I don't, again, with Roman or without Roman. I may be, I may be the only one saying this, but I kind of think King Corbin needs to run with the championship. So why not put the title on King Corbin? Let's do the Sergeant Slaughter storyline from back in the day. I'm not talking about where King Corbin turns on America. I'm not I ain't going that far. But what I'm just saying is let Braun Ultimate Warrior held the title until the next year's Royal Rumble. Sergeant Slaughter won. Let Braun hold the Universal Championship until the Royal Rumble, and then let King Corbin win it. And then whether it's Roman, it doesn't have to be, but or it could be someone else. Uh, Let him hold the title and be the transitional champion until WrestleMania, and then whoever the title, the champion, whoever the person they want to be, let it be King Corbin holding the championship, facing whoever it is at WrestleMania 37 in Los Angeles. Again, hoping because I gotta be honest with you guys, gotta be honest with you, Joe. Um, there's a part of me I am really I'm trying to be optimistic, but there's part of me that does worry, really worry that this whole virus situation that we're in right now, this is this isn't something that's just gonna go away, in a couple months, in 6 months. You know, this might be a situation where and let's be honest, they're not going to have a vaccine. They're not going to have a vaccine until next year. They're not going to have a vaccine until next year. But I think they use the term flatten the curve. And when the curve starts flattening, that's when all these other things start lifting, and you'll be able to go out. And shortly by shortly, um, governors and even the president may say they'll lift the shelter in place things, and then they say, okay, no one's allowed to have a mass gathering of more than 25 or more than 50. So so then just you still wouldn't have fans at the performance center. Although maybe you could, because if they did lift that up, you could say, okay, let's bring 25 fans, free tickets, come to the performance center, and you could have 25 fans throughout the performance center. But it's not going to be something where WrestleMania, well, not SummerSlam in Boston is going to be at Gillette Stadium, or it's going to be at um, the is it the TD Ameritrade Center in Boston? It's not going to be in there. It's not even gonna, it's either going to be in a smaller venue, or it's gonna be still be at the Performance Center for SummerSlam. You know, and that would be okay. That would be okay. But again, this is just me. Like I said, I'm optimistic and I'm hoping for the best. But I would not be surprised if come July 1st, we're still talking about shelter in placing, and we're still talking about stay at home orders, and then we're talking about SummerSlam being at the Performance Center, or even SummerSlam just being truly out canceled. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, I understand why they put on WrestleMania. The storylines needed to be ended, things needed to be happening, and also, this gives people entertainment, right? But I could totally see they've already canceled the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I could totally see where WWE just decides, okay, we're not going to put on shows. Um, you're not going to put on shows anymore, and that means until we can. Until the stay-at-home orders are lifted in Florida, we're not putting on shows anymore, and I can totally see that. So, um, and I could, and again, I can also totally see that we'll get to 2021, and we'll be talking about will WrestleMania 37 even be going on. But let's not hope. Let's hope for the best. And like I said, hopefully Braun Strowman does get a big run with this championship, and hopefully it's not. And again, the biggest Roman guy here. But even still, I just don't need Braun to hold it for 6 months until SummerSlam and then drop it directly to Roman. I don't need to see that. Anyway, and if I did say it before, like I said, it was run star because, like you said, Joe, just a finisher match. And then finally, the main event of this first night was the Boneyard match between AJ Styles and The Undertaker. And like many of us thought, a Boneyard match is just a buried alive match. It's a buried alive match. Um, but obviously, with this whole situation, so many people dying and so many people are being sick with the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. Um, they probably thought it's probably not a good look to call it a buried alive match. So they called it a boneyard match. And I had fun with this one. I had fun with this. It's pretty interesting. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. I liked they kind of shot this in a different type of way. This is, this was, like cinematic, like almost like a movie and things like that. This had everything. This had druids and OC and everything like that. So it was a fun match. I did put on Twitter that I know 2 people who aren't gonna like this, and those two, and there are probably many people who don't like this, but 2 people that aren't gonna like this are Jim Cornette and Brian Last, and Jim it was like the Ultimate Deletion match, correct? And Jim Cornette is he is a long time guy in this in the wrestling business. He's been doing this for years. He has when it comes to wrestling, he has some old school thoughts. He doesn't particularly care for a lot of the stuff. He doesn't care like for a lot of the new stuff. He doesn't care for maybe a lot of high flying. Wait, I don't know if he doesn't care for it, but he just thinks it doesn't. It could be done in a different way, I guess. Something that doesn't expose the business. That's the big thing about it. He doesn't like stuff that makes the business look stupid. And if you listen to his podcast or if you listen to his YouTube channel, him and Brian Last, they did not like the whole stuff that happened a couple weeks ago on AEW when Matt Hardy was teleporting down to the ring, coming down and teleporting this and teleporting that. He did not like it, and neither one of them did. Brian Last is his co-host on the podcast, and he did not like it. And a lot of people didn't like it because it's 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 one thing to be creative and have some fun, but it is one thing to be silly. I don't particularly care for the silly stuff. Like I didn't care for that much as well. I didn't care for the teleportation stuff. And some people call Jim a hypocrite, but they didn't have no right to. But some people might call me a hypocrite because yeah, I don't like all that teleportation stuff. But I've always loved the Undertaker, and I've always loved the fact that Undertaker could, he could with the flick of his wrist go like this and lightning would fire, or Kane would just raise his hands and throw him down and fire would erupt from the thing. So from the ring post, so I've always enjoyed that. So why wouldn't if you enjoy that, would you not enjoy this? And I guess maybe there's a point to that, but I don't know. I just didn't like it, and they're not gonna like this because these had some information, some interesting stuff about it because the way it was shot, like Joe says, it's the ultimate deletion. The shot kind of shot like an ultimate deletion cut match, and at one point, Undertaker is thrown into the grave, and AJ gets on the thing and he tries to fills the thing with dirt, and then there's a bright light that flashes from the behind AJ on the little cart thing, and the Undertaker teleports behind him. So it's gonna be very interesting to listen to Jim Cornette, Brian Lastek for that. They'll talk about that, and they're not gonna like the Firefly Funhouse match either. They're not gonna like that as well. Yes, Joe. I think that's how the Firefly Fun. I think the Firefly Funhouse. If you remember a few years ago when the House of Horrors match happened between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, I think and they might do something like that with John Cena and the Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match, and maybe even more sillier. I think there's some thought that during this match, John Cena would not only be fighting the Fiend, but he would be fighting Bray Wyatt in the Mr. Rogers gimmick. And maybe, and I think there's even rumor that it may even be at the same time. They may do like the whole digital thing where you see both the Fiend and Bray Wyatt at the same time beating down on John Cena. So yeah, it could be a very interesting thing tomorrow night. But as for this match, this was pretty interesting. Like getting back to it, yeah, and then that happens, and Undertaker is behind him, and NJ spooked. He doesn't know how that happened. He was just in the grave, and how's he behind him? He climbs up a ladder and gets on top of a barn, and Undertaker takes him, and I don't know where the barn came from either. Undertaker takes AJ and chokes them off the barn onto a tree stump or something. I don't know what it was, and then what's his face is just AJ's drug and Undertaker kind of takes him off and he takes him to the grave and he's about to choke slam him and Undertaker and AJ starts begging, please don't bury me, and don't being buried is it's a bad thing. It's not like it's opposite of being pushed or anything like that. So he was like, "Don't bury me, don't bury me." I'm not gonna bury me. You put up a hell of a fight, and he even pulls him in to give him a hug and everything, and then walks away and then turns around and says, "Nah, I can't do this." And he boots him in the face. JJ goes flying into the grave, and he goes over to the machine with the dirt, and he goes, and he lifts it up, and he pours the dirt into the thing, and no bell rings and nothing like that. It's just the Undertaker's music starts playing. He pulls off the seaweed on the tombstone to see AJ Styles' tombstone, and Undertaker gets on a bike, which was he wasn't necessarily the American Badass, but he just rode on his bike and he rides off, leaving AJ Styles with one hand sticking out of the grave, and Undertaker wins. Undertaker, I believe, is 23-2 now at WrestleMania. Uh, a lot of talk here about this being Undertaker's maybe final match. Um, Not sure about that. Um, Undertaker did win. Now, Undertaker is one of those guys that I'm sure that everybody would respect the fact that that if Undertaker wanted to go out on a victory, they would do that. He's been a consummate professional. He's one of Vince's guys that when everybody was leaving to go to WCW, Shawn Michaels stayed, and Undertaker stayed. A lot of people left, went to WCW, but those two guys stayed, and I think we know he has a thing for Shawn Michaels. He always has. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and I understand Bret Hart would never do this, but if Bret Hart would have done the curtain call in '96, Bret Hart would have been fired. As much as he liked Bret Hart would have been fired. We're doing the curtain call. Shawn Michaels was not fired on the curtain call. And I should have. If it was Undertaker doing the curtain call, he wouldn't have fired Undertaker either. That's how much I think he respects the Undertaker. So if Undertaker wanted to go out this way, if he's not going to wrestle anymore, then that's fine. But I also think the Undertaker has enough respect for this business that he would want to go out the way that you're supposed to go out, and that's putting over someone. As you've seen, Ric Flair put over Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels put over to the Undertaker, and Undertaker was supposed to put over Roman Reigns, but we know Undertaker's come back. So, but it was a very weird and interesting match. I will say that. But yeah, this was a good night. This was a good night. Nothing was really terrible. Again, the IC title match was short. That's why I only gave it 2.25 star. But and of course we had the finisher match. The finisher match was just what it was with the Universal title match. But everything else I thought was solid in-ring wrestling. And of course the ladder match was incredible, and Owens and Rollins was fantastic as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Joe. You couldn't go wrong with this tonight, in my eyes. I think this was really, really good. If you couldn't enjoy tonight, let me choose my words carefully here, because I understand the reason why there was no fans. And I understand the reason and everything like that. And so I don't want to be insensitive and to anybody's plight about this, and why you just couldn't do this because of what's going on in the world. You couldn't be entertained by this because of what's going on in the world. I can truly understand that. But if you were not entertained by this first night of wrestling, because you felt like there was no fans, there was no pomp and circumstance, there was no this, there was no that, there was no fireworks, anything like that. And if that's why you felt this was, this was a bad show, I feel bad for you. I really do, because I thought this was really, really good. And tomorrow night could be even better, because tomorrow night, again, Lesnar and McIntyre, Edge and Orton, the last man standing match, Otis and Ziggler. Now, even Otis and Ziggler, that could be a sleeper, because if you watch SmackDown, we now know what happened with Otis and Ziggler. So all this stuff could be truly amazing stuff. The fatal five-way match for the SmackDown Women's title could be really good. The Street Profits versus Theory and Garza could be a sleeper match if they give it time. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these, I think tomorrow night is gonna be a good night as well. So if you can, go in tomorrow night with an open mind, sit down, watch it, get you a beer, or get you a Sprite, or a Orange Crush, or a water, or whatever, or a pizza, or the chicken wings, do whatever you take. Sit down tomorrow night and have fun. I wish you come back here. I will be live giving you my rapid reaction for night 2. And yeah, this thing is gonna be fun. So before I go, I do want to say this. Like I said, I did my predictions. So what were my predictions? So my predictions were like this. I did not know they announced today about Gulak and Cesaro on the kickoff show. So I didn't make a prediction about that. Again, because the rumors about the Universal Championship match and and who would be prediction and who would be and who would be on it. I did not give a prediction for that one, so there's no prediction for that one. But I did predict the other ones. I predicted Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross would win the tag titles. That happened. I actually predicted King Corbin would be the Elias. That did not happen. Elias won. I predicted Shayna Baszler would beat Becky Lynch. Becky won. I predicted Sami Zayn would retain the IC title, and he did. I predicted the Usos would win the tag titles. Mr. Morrison retained. I predicted Kevin Owens would beat Seth Rollins. He won that one. And I also predicted The Undertaker would win the Boneyard match, which he did. So first night, I went 4-3. So we've got more matches on the. Obviously, we got some other matches on the docket tomorrow. Still trying to figure out about the Aleister Black and Bobby Lashley match. Again, if you don't know, Bobby Lashley was out. He was in South Africa doing promotion for a tour that is obviously not going to happen now. But who knows if he gets back in time for other things. So it's to be quarantined. If you don't know what I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. In this situation that we're in right now, if you were out of the country and you come back into the country, you should need to be quarantined for 14 days at least. 14 days. And I'm not sure if he would be quarantined for 14 days. But so now what WWE has been doing is they have been testing the people when they come in. So I guess if they wanted to break that condition and have Bobby Lashley come in and do his match, he would have had his temperature taken. He would have been wiped down before everything, I believe. And I believe there's one other thing they did. They do for people who are coming into the performance center. So he would have had all of that done to him, and I guess him and Aleister Black could have had the match. I don't. So I'm still skeptical, even though I made a prediction. I predicted Aleister Black would win. I'm still skeptical if that match is even going to go on. Is Bobby Lashley going to be replaced, or is the match going to be cut from the card? Period. So we will have to wait and see. I guess I could say this. They did announce the pre-show match for tomorrow night. Between Liv is gonna be Liv Morgan and Natalya. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Natalya. I think they'll give her the victory. It'll probably be the same thing like it was tonight. It'll probably be a very short match between these two, and it'll probably be a sharpshooter victory for Natalya. So I'll add that to my predictions for tomorrow night. But yeah, that's it for WrestleMania Night 1. All in all, I think it's a very fun night, and I think tomorrow night could be even better. So yeah, post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know what you guys thought about Night 1. And once again, please be here for tomorrow night, Night 2. We're gonna talk about Night 2 and talk about everything that's gonna go down tomorrow. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy. Oh, and a big shout out to Joe. Thanks for stopping by, Joe. I guess I'll see you tomorrow night too. So yeah, as always, be good to each other, y'all. More than ever, be careful out there. Wash your hands. And I am out.